Alright, so I finally got all of my slip stitching done that is holding my actual zipper in place along the folded slash marks and the folded slashing, and then the zipper stay that we had installed. Now what we're going to do is we need to sew this little triangle flap down to the zipper stay. And in order to do that, we're going to want to grab our zipper foot. And just in case you need a reminder, in your little plastic square Tupperware that is around your sewing area, you should have a zipper foot in there. And if you don't, please let me know. And your zipper foot is marked with the letter E as in elephant. And when you go to snap this in, you'll notice that there are two snap areas that attach to your presser foot arm, and we are going to want to attach it to the left hand side. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and remove your regular zipper foot A by pressing the red button on the back side of the arm, and then just simply setting your zipper foot down underneath of the arm, and then lowering your presser foot so that it just simply snaps into place. You're also going to want to make sure that you just have a little bit of thread tails off to the left, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to flip the front part of our fabric upward so that we can stitch this little triangle flap to the actual stay fabric. And we're just going to do some back stitches back and forth to keep that in line. So I'm going to try to I'm just going to try to have that needle run right below this original stitch line here, and I'm just going to go back and forth a couple times. Now just take note that you're going to be going over that the zipper tape, so just be careful, and if you need to, instead of going back and forth, instead of doing like back stitching, you can always stop and then pivot and then move forward instead of going forward and then backward. So I'm just going to lower my presser foot and my needle into the fabric, and then go ahead and do a couple stitches forward, just going pretty slow until I caught all of that triangle, and then I'm going to go ahead and hold down my my back stitch button, go backwards on that, come back forward, go backwards again. Just want to make sure that that triangle piece underneath is held in. So I kind of went back and forth a little bit and almost created like a zigzag line with my straight stitching. As long as this is held down into place, that's what matters. And so you can kind of see that I went back, straight and then back and straight and then back, and just kind of shimmied my way down that triangle a little bit to keep things in place. Alright, now what we're going to do is we want to flip our bodice portion. And just so that you're aware, this is the top set of my bodice where the top of the zipper is opening along the neckline. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that around so that I'm working at the bottom of my zipper stop, and I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric to one side, and I'm going to be working from the bottom of the zipper to the top. Whenever we have zippers, that's always what we do. And I'm going to keep my zipper foot placement right in place, and I'm going to start at the bottom and do a little bit of back stitching, and then I'm just going to go ahead and come right up next to this this reinforcing stitching line that we had done before we slashed, and I'm just going to pretty much go right over top of that and catch some of my slip stitching, my hand slip stitching lines too. So I'm just going to start at the bottom and then just do a quick back tack, trying to keeping my needle as close as I can to those zipper kind of to that zipper teeth, using the shelf that's part of the zipper foot as my guide. And I want to make sure that I grab those seam allowances, the seam allowances that are there from that slashing, and then I'm stitching all the way through those seam allowances through the bodice, and then also grabbing the zipper tape on the back side. Now I have maybe about 2 inches left to go, but what I'm finding myself that I'm running into is that I'm running into that space where my slider is kind of getting in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip my zipper so that slider is out of the way, and then I can continue stitching up this line without having without having that slider kind of cause me some trouble. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch all the way, and if at any point your seam allowances kind of want to jump to one side, stop, raise your presser foot, and then just put those back in place. Make sure that your needle's in the down position, and then when you get to the end of that stitch line, you're going to want to go ahead and do a quick back tack there. So I'm just going to do a quick zoom in so you can see what I've, how I should have 2 rows of stitching and everything is being attached. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but I have a stitch line here because my bobbin thread is white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and zip up my zipper again and flip my fabric, but this time what I need to do is I also need to adjust my the zipper foot placement. Originally it was on the left hand side that it was snapped in, so now I'm going to just unclip it from that the presser foot arm and then clip it onto the right side of that zipper foot. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the exact same thing along this edge here. So this, so my needle is going to be inserting right next to this stitch line that I already have down. Okay. So again, you're going to want to start at the bottom doing a little bit of back tacking, and then just come straight up this line as before. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a few back tacks. Just going right kind of over that stitch line that I've already done. And I'm just on my regular stitch length of, 2 to 2.5. And then what's happening is as I'm getting closer, I'm kind of running into that kind of same situation with my zipper slider. So I'm going to leave my needle down. I'm going to reach inside of my garment here, raise up my presser foot so that I have some room to unzip that zipper. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip it, and then lower my presser foot again, and then just continue this stitch line, trying to keep that shelf that's on the zipper foot pretty close to those zipper teeth that I can feel on the back side, on the underneath side of my fabric. And then when I get done, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick back tack, raise up my needle and presser foot, and go ahead and trim my thread tails. Alright, so you can see what I did here. I have that second row of stitching. I'm just going to come back in and kind of trim up these thread tails on both sides. And make sure I don't have any, I have a little bit of long one there. And I'm going to flip it to the right side and go ahead and zip up my zipper. And that's it. That's how we install an exposed zipper. And I'm going to go ahead and leave my slip stitching in just because I can't see it. And I think that it's just, I've already done all the work of putting it in. I can't see it at all. I know that line is consistent where, this stitch line that we just put in connecting our seam allowances to our zipper, it should be straight, but I know that slip stitch is in the place where I want it and everything is consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and leave mine in. If yours is kind of a mess and you feel like your stitching line is more straight and can do a better job on the underneath side, then you can go ahead and take that out. What you also might find is that your stay is a little bit longer than your bodice, and so what you can do is you can just kind of come back with a pair of scissors. I'm going to get my big scissors out of my drawer real quick. I'm going to fold this up, and then I'm just going to trim. I'm not going to grab my zipper tape on the underside, but I'm just going to go ahead and trim maybe about a 1/2 inch off, so then you just don't see it. Okay? And that's your exposed zipper. Just make sure that you label it and put it in your binder.